The Admin Center has every control you need. Most organizations have configured 4 of them. In earlier videos in this series, we covered the architectural thresholds that change when Power Platform scales to 3,000 users. This video covers where the controls for those thresholds actually live. 7 specific configuration areas in the Admin Center that separate a governed environment from a licensed one. The Power Platform Admin Center contains every tool required for enterprise governance. It also ships in a state that, out of the box, provides essentially none of it. The default configuration allows any licensed user to create environments, build flows against any connector, and share apps with anyone in the tenant. That is not a governance posture. That is an open environment where governance has not been configured yet. I have worked with organizations that have had Power Platform licensed for 2 years and have never touched most of the Admin Center. The platform is running. It is not governed. The difference between those 2 states is 7 configuration areas. First, environment creation restriction. By default, any licensed user can create a new Power Platform environment. In an enterprise context, environment creation has to be restricted to administrators. This setting is in the Admin Center under Settings, Tenant Settings, who can create production and sandbox environments. Restricting it prevents shadow environments that operate outside the governance model. The shadow environment problem is more common than most IT teams realize. I run an environment audit as the first step of every new Power Platform governance engagement. The audit pulls the full environment list from the Admin Center. In organizations that have had Power Platform licensed for more than 18 months without active governance, I consistently find 15 to 30% more environments than the IT team knows about. Those shadow environments are running flows and apps against production data outside any governance model. Restricting environment creation is the control that stops new shadow environments from forming. It does not retroactively address the ones already running. Second, DLP policies. A tenant with no DLP policies has no connector governance. Any licensed maker can build a flow that moves data from a business system to any external service the connector library supports. DLP policies need to exist and be applied to every environment, including the default environment where unmanaged automation accumulates when no other environment structure is in place. The DLP design decision I spend the most time on is the boundary between business and non-business connectors. Microsoft's categorization is a starting point, not a final answer. The correct DLP policy for a regulated organization classifies connectors based on the organization's specific data handling requirements. A healthcare organization and a defense contractor have different connector risk profiles. Their DLP policies should reflect those differences. A default classification applied without review is a placeholder, not a policy. Third, tenant settings review. The tenant settings section controls platform-level behaviors. Who can share apps with external users? Whether Power Automate desktop flows are enabled. Whether AI builder capacity is allocated. Many of these settings are enabled by default with no business requirement having triggered the enablement. A governance review covers tenant settings and disables anything not deliberately enabled for a specific business use case. Fourth, analytics and capacity monitoring. The Admin Center provides flow and app analytics, connector usage reports, and API call consumption data. These are the governance monitoring tools, and most organizations have never opened them. The analytics view shows which flows consume the most API capacity, which connectors are in use across the tenant, and which environments have the highest activity. Governance that does not include regular analytics review is blind to what the platform is actually doing. The analytics view produces specific actionable information. The connector usage report tells me which connectors are in active use across the tenant that are not covered by a current DLP policy. The environment activity report tells me which environments are running the most flows with the least governance oversight. The maker activity report tells me which makers are the most active and whether they have completed maker onboarding. Each of these views takes 10 minutes to review. Together, they constitute the operational picture of what the platform is actually doing versus what the governance documentation says it should be doing. Fifth, managed environments. Managed environments is a premium feature that adds enhanced governance controls, maker welcome content, solution checker enforcement, sharing limits, and usage insights per environment. For enterprise deployments, managed environments is the difference between governance that requires manual enforcement and governance that is architecturally enforced. Sharing limits prevent apps from being shared beyond what the environment policy allows. Solution checker enforcement prevents flows and apps with known quality issues from being promoted to production. Sixth, capacity allocation. Power platform capacity, Dataverse storage, API call quotas, AI builder credits, is managed at the admin center level. Without active capacity allocation, the default environment consumes capacity without organizational visibility. Assign capacity to environments based on expected usage. Set alerts when capacity thresholds are approached, and review allocation quarterly. Service health integration. The admin center provides access to service health status, maintenance notifications, and support case management. Governance includes knowing when the platform is experiencing issues. The service health dashboard should be part of the operational review cadence for any team running business-critical flows in Power Platform. The 7 areas I described take 1 to 2 days to configure correctly from a fresh admin center state. In organizations that have been running Power Platform for 18 months without touching them, the remediation work is longer because each configuration area has to be evaluated against what is already running. The correct time to configure the admin center is before citizen development starts. The second best time is now. Environment restrictions, DLP policies, tenant settings review, analytics monitoring, managed environments, capacity allocation, service health integration. 7 configuration areas. A Power Platform environment with all 7 configured is a governed environment. One with the default configuration is licensed, not governed. In the next video in this series, we cover how to build a Power Platform COE that keeps functioning past the initial 90-day build-out.